Man, welcome back to the basement. We got big news. And I don't usually hop on here to, give my take on any of these breaking news, injuries and all that, but I figured, you know what? Why not start this season? We have a big injury to cover. Raheem Mostert. Apparently there's something wrong with his knee, some kind of cartilage going on, and I wanted to hop on here and give you guys my thoughts because this is so relevant to right now when we're trying to do waiver claims. Elijah Mitchell's already at the top of the board. I was under the assumption that Raheem Mostert was going to be out for a week or 2 weeks. Like he was walking around on the sideline. He was pretty much fine. Like he was pretty much good to go. He was walking around. He didn't look like he was in that much pain. And let's actually read the exact blurb real quick. I haven't even read the whole thing. I saw it on Twitter. I said, all right, let's hop on here. Let's get my thoughts out into a video. Why not scoop up some more content for today? And I was actually in the middle of writing the waiver wire article. But so it says Raheem Mostert will be placed on injured reserve for approximately 8 weeks after suffering a knee cartilage injury in week 1. Mostert posted a breakout campaign in 2019, but slogged through injuries in 2020. Now his health woes are dragging into this year. He exited the 49ers week 1 game versus the Lions after just 2 carries. With Trey Sermon inactive, Elijah Mitchell saw 19 carries and rushed for 104 yards. Hasty turned his lone carry into a 3-yard touchdown. Sermon should be made active in week 2, but his role remains murky. Mitchell will likely draw the start versus Philadelphia, making him a viable flex option. Fantasy managers should take a wait-and-see approach with Sermon for now. And we know when they say like 8 weeks, that's usually some cap. That's usually some cap, man. It's just man. So now we are looking at 8 weeks, and let me pull up the actual snap shares real quick from yesterday. I want to say that it was 100% all Elijah Mitchell. Let me see real quick. So it should be like, I want to say like Smola, 49ers, but I'll get into like fab and all that in a second. Now, if you want to have, I'm going to have a full fab guide on how I would play out the Elijah Mitchell situation. All that good stuff is going to be on the Patreon. So we saw, should I throw this up real quick? All right, let's throw this up. I'm going to crop it real quick. I'm going to throw it up on the screen for you guys. Again, we're doing this all on the fly, but I wanted to bring you guys kind of my thoughts right off the bat, just while they're all fresh in my head. But this is big news. This is actually pretty wild now that I think about it, because this is a lot of the guys on this channel that you guys are watching me have like 0 RB teams, and this is huge. If you are not strong at running back, Elijah Mitchell needs to be somebody on your radar 100%. And honestly, in a lot of my 0 RB teams, it's going to come down to how much fab am I going to be putting on Elijah Mitchell. He played 64% of snaps yesterday. Raheem Mostert only saw 7. Hasty saw 29%. He saw 19 of the opportunities, the carries, and the targets. Now, Elijah Mitchell is a really solid prospect, man. Elijah Mitchell is, I liked him coming out of school. Played for the Raging Cajuns. Want to say he runs like a 4.4. He's really fast. He has like an all-purpose build almost. Let's pull this up real quick. Now, I'm a lucky man. I have him on one of my FFPC teams. Because in 20 round drafts, which is what the FFPC is, that's where you're gonna want to use that much fab. I just had to tell my mother that I'm streaming. All right, I just had to tell my mother that I was streaming. I forgot to tell her. Love to see it. So Elijah Mitchell dominated the touches. Now, I think for a lot of people, who is Elijah Mitchell? Or like, I guess not who is Elijah Mitchell, but for all of you guys out there that have been sticking around watching me in the offseason, Elijah Mitchell is a sneaky guy. 4'4", 5'10", 201 pounds. He's built in the mold of a Raheem Mostert. I think that's why he fits so well with this team, man. Because with this team, this scheme with that offensive line, 4'4", one-cut runner, can do it all. I was going to say he could do it in the passing game. Nothing crazy, but now that comes down to, we have Raheem Mostert gone. So if you're a Trey Sermon guy, I think that this was all in all like a net win. I think that it sucked that he got healthy scratched, but I think it's a win because now you have Mostert gone. You have Elijah Mitchell, who is now going to be the number one waiver wire claim this week. And man, if you are looking at Elijah Mitchell on waivers and you do not have a running back, like I think that, like I was going to say pretty much as like a feeler, you know, you could go like 15, 20% this week without the Mostert injury. Once you get the Mostert injury in there, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, if you have your running backs in place, I wouldn't even bother making a claim. But if you are a hero running back team, like a zero running back team, like a lot of the people that watch my channel are, you're thinking somewhere from 25 to 35% of your budget. And if you want to get very aggressive, like we're talking pure zero RB, I have a zero RB team where Raheem Mostert and Travis Etienne went down. You could, like, I wouldn't look at you sideways if you went like 60%. And I'm not saying go out there and spend 60%. I'm saying if you are very thin at running back and you want to ensure that you are going to get Elijah Mitchell, you can go 60. I would say 60% is the absolute max. But that's what I'm telling you is like the ceiling. 60% is the ceiling for what I would pay. Now, there are going to be some people that want to pay like maybe 70, 80, 90. I don't know. People are going to get wild. 60 is the absolute max that I could justify on an Elijah Mitchell. Now, I think JaMycal Hasty is a good ad everywhere. I think that Jeff Wilson, if you have an IR spot, go get Jeff Wilson, put him on your IR. I'm not saying don't use fab on him, don't use fab on JaMycal Hasty. But now we're in a spot where Elijah Mitchell is a crazy, crazy ad. I see a lot of people saying, like, what about Trey Sermon in the chat? Trey Sermon, I think, is somewhat of a winner from this. If Raheem Mostert is gone for 8 weeks, Trey Sermon will have every opportunity to go out there and prove that he was a third-round pick at running back. Like I said, I think Hasty, I said it earlier in the video that we dropped earlier today, I think that Hasty and I think that Elijah Mitchell were really only on the roster over Trey Sermon because they're special teams guys. But it's going to be tough, man. I think if you spend a lot on Elijah Mitchell, you are getting a spot start for 1, 2, 3 weeks. These Shanahan running backs, they get tossed and turned and topsy-turvied and flipped and ripped, whatever you want to call it. So it's not going to be a long-term Band-Aid, but it is interesting. Now, I will also say, like, I do fall into this trap, or I have fallen into this trap in years past where I'm not aggressive enough in week 1 where, you know, I'll let a Phillip Lindsay get past me. I'll let a James Robinson get past me. A lot of these guys that are very clear waiver wire claims in week 1, Elijah, like I'm in a tough spot because I don't want to miss out on Elijah Mitchell, you know? It is tough because Trey Sermon is there. Like I said, I think that this is a win for Trey Sermon because, like, he was inactive in week 1. We weren't expecting a lot from him in week 1 anyways. Mostert going down kind of leaves this thing wide open. It seems like Elijah Mitchell has the stranglehold on it. So yeah, that's what my take would be. I would say if you want to put a comfortable bid on Elijah Mitchell, I would say probably somewhere in like the 25 to 35% range. If you want to get very aggressive, I would say the max is 60%. Now, I was actually writing my waiver wire video as I went live, or as this news came out. So I wanted to hop on here, go live, give my thoughts. If any of you guys have any other questions about the situation, I'll answer them. But I'm going to sit down tomorrow and write like a complete waiver wire, guide on, my top however many running backs, wide receivers, and how much fab. Like, I still don't have an exact number what I would spend on Elijah Mitchell yet, but like I said, somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 35. Absolute max would be 60. But yeah, like Captain Spock said, I agree with that big time. Week 1 and week 2 waivers can get you in the playoffs. Yeah, so a lot of these are, like, I think week 2 last year was Mike Davis. I want to say week 1. If you have, man, that's tough. If you have Sermon, should you pick up Mitchell? To be honest with you, if you have Trey Sermon, I wouldn't spend a fat bid on Mitchell. I think that I don't know if it's worth like really trying to lock up that backfield like that. Would I try selling? I don't think this is going to be a sell high window for Trey Sermon. If you're in a waiver league where it's fab and it's not fab and it's priority, even if I had Sermon, I would be using my number one priority on Elijah Mitchell. Would you try selling high on Sermon now? No. I don't think there's a sell high. He just got healthy scratch, man. I don't think that anyone's trying to buy high on Sermon. But all right, fellas, I'm going to go back to writing my waiver wire video. That should be out tomorrow. It's probably gonna be like my super high priority claims, guys I'd spend like 15% or more on, my running backs, my wide receivers, tight ends, all that good stuff. So with that being said, I love you guys. I just wanted to hop on here, kind of get a take off real quick, let you guys know how I feel about the Elijah Mitchell injury or the Raheem Mostert injury. If you have Raheem Mostert, you can probably comfortably drop him unless you have an IR spot, then keep him there. As always, man, leave a like, subscribe. We're going to be posting daily content this season, even more than daily. This was our second upload today. So we are not messing around this offseason, fellas. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one.